solve the radical equation, check all proposed solutions. So we have the square root of 54 minus 3x, and that's equal to x. So whenever you have an equation with square roots and you solve it, it's really important to check the answers. Okay. So we'll start by eliminating the square root. So the square root is already on one side by itself, so we can square both sides to get rid of the square root. So we get 54 minus 3x equals x squared. Okay, then this is a quadratic equation, so we're going to set it equal to 0. So we'll add the 3x. So we get x squared plus 3x equals, and then 54, writing it backwards, and then subtract the 54. So we have x squared plus 3x minus 54 equals 0. This should always factor. Usually, like if you're taking a math class, this usually factors. This is x, and it should be equal to 0. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 54 and add to 3. Well, 6 and 9, that's going to be 54, and it has to be negative. So one of these is negative. It looks like that this one is negative, the 6, because if you do the middle term, you get 9x, and then the outside term is negative 6x. So the middle and the outside always have to give you this. See, 9x minus 6x is 3x. A product equal to 0, so you set each factor equal to 0. So here you get x equals negative 9, and then here you get x equals 6. Okay, so now we're supposed to check our answers. So we have to take these numbers and plug them back into the original. So I'm going to write down the original problem up here. So we have 54 minus 3x, and there is a square root there, and that's equal to x. So let's start by checking negative 9. So check negative 9. So we would get square root 54 minus 3 times negative 9, and that should be equal to negative 9. And that's impossible, right? The square root of x can never, the square root of a number can never be negative, right? So it can't be equal to a negative, so that fails. So negative 9 is not an answer. Let's check 6. Check 6. So we have square root 54 minus 3 times 6, and that should be equal to 6. That's the question. So 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, 3 times 6 is 18. And then 54 minus 18 is 36. This should be 36. Equals 6. The square root of 36 is equal to 6, so 6 equals 6. So it checks, so the answer is x equals 6. I hope that made sense.